are live. Welcome to the Greatness Engineering Hour show. My name is Marae. For those who don't know me, I'm often called the Greatness Engineer. I'm really happy to be here again and to bring you another champion, another great engineers. And today we actually heading to Florida, and we'll hear about our guest. And as our guest, is a former athlete and is a lover of life. And he devoted most of his time, he devotes most of his time empowering individuals and giving life, energy, and inspiration to them. And I think he has a great story to tell us today. And most of our discussion is going to focus on, leadership, empowerment, education, and impact, which is what, he's doing most of his time, and which is his focus in every activity that he's doing in his entrepreneur life and in everything that he does, to support his community. So just to give you a snapshot of what who is the guest. So our guest today is Tavarus Hogans. Tavarus majored in communication, and he was the captain of the football team at Vanderbilt University. And he has a company, and his company, True Seven Life, works with individuals and organizations looking to make their employees more comfortable and confident when they present. And he is also a podcast coach. He has his own podcast called the True Seven Life Podcast, a podcast featuring self-employed business heroes and who are actually making an impact in whatever they're doing and in the environment and community. And he's also a co-host of a podcast called Beyond the Star. Another thing that he's doing is working on his first book called Finding Your Voice, A Journey of Becoming a Better Presenter. And we hope that he's going to have the opportunity to let us know what it's all about and the focus of the book, and where we can actually get the book when it's going to be out. But what you have to remember from Tavarus is that his life is focused on bringing joy to people and inspiring them and uplifting them, educating them, and empowering them. Hence, the focus of our show today. And his strength is, he said that his strength is actually in his faith in God. And that's actually make him, strong and sustain him through all the challenges and obstacles that he had to go through. So let's start, and let's bring Tavarus and have a great discussion with him.
Right? On memories. But as I got older, I started to be more aware of some of the abusive sides of
Tavarus. Welcome to the Greatness Engineering Hour show. How are you today?
Hello, I am great. I'm amazing. Today is a marvelous day, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, welcome. We're so happy, and I'm actually very, excited to have you as a guest today. And just for the sake of our viewer, can you tell us, who you are? Introduce yourself, because we really know. I mean, from the introduction that I've made, they're getting really excited right now.
Yes, so as you said, name is Tavarus Hogans. I currently reside in Florida. I've spent the large part of my life in Florida, went to college at Vanderbilt University. As you said, worked in the corporate space for about 18 years. I have a sports background that groomed a lot of my thought process and thinking. After leaving the corporate space, which I recently done, it's been less than a year. I created a couple of companies, one a health and wellness company where we focus on CBD products and different CBD lines. But I also have a couple services that I focus on also. I do leadership coaching, management coaching, those different things. But the majority of my focus is presentation skills coaching and making people more comfortable, confident, and courageous presenters. And with that, as you alluded to, I have a book coming out later this late summer, early fall as well
Mhm.
to support all of that. So we kind of have our both hands on the steering wheel and our foot pressed down on the gas, and we're trying to go full speed.
And that's the thing. Even if everything is working slowly right now, I mean, we still have to go full speed and continue to go forward. And when I see what you've been doing, and you've shifted from from corporate to becoming an entrepreneur, but before that you had a sport career. So I just want to know, what are really the hurdles that you had to face, and and how did you overcame them? How did you overcome those hurdles? Because it can be very difficult to switch from one one way of doing things, or one company to another, or from corporate to being a full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I believe I have an interesting and unique approach to hurdles, challenges, just the things that life throws at you. Uh, I plan to live a long and prosperous life. And if there's going to be longevity to anything, there are going to be some challenges. And for me, I just feel like it's part of, the course of the game or life, as many of us call it. But relying on my sports background, in the course of a game, there's always going to be adversity, challenges, hurdles, all of that. And you just have to figure it out if you want to be successful, if you want to be a winner. Uh, I choose not really to focus on those things because I feel like it's part of it. I mean, I like many others. There have been times where I didn't have any food, didn't have anything to eat, no money, no job. Fortunately, I've never been homeless. That's not my testimony, but I've had mounting debt, a lot of things that other people face. And what I always did during those times, I just got mentally focused. I got more mentally focused, hard work, discipline, and really becoming obsessed with the outcome, becoming obsessed with success or whatever that goal was, always helped me overcome those hurdles and being focused on the end, not what's currently going on. And I'm going to face more hurdles in life, and it's going to be that same approach. It's just what's going on right now, but it's not forever. No hurdle is forever. It's just the hills and valleys of life.
And that's worth reminding, because sometimes when we are we face so many things, we challenge from every corner. We tend to think that we're gonna be in it forever. And yet, we have to understand that, like you said, there's gonna be an end to it. Yes, we're going through those challenges, but it's gonna end. We just have to keep going. We just have to stay focused on the end results, because at the end, we have to do that. But how do you I mean, you've talked a little bit about the strategies and the thing that you've done, but how do you do that? I mean, in practice, to really stay focused and just focusing on the end result. I mean, did you need any support? Did you had some particular resources available? So what are the key strategy that you've choose, to empower yourself in those difficult moments?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question, because a lot of times people put words out and it sounds good, but like, how do you do that? Like, I understand what to do and what you did, but how did you do it, or how do you do it? And honestly, like I said, there are going to be hills and valleys. What the challenges and hurdles have allowed me to do is appreciate those highs, appreciate those times a lot more when I'm on the hill. And I've just been able to shift my focus and will certain success and certain positivity in my life, because that's what my mind stays on. And a lot of times when you're going through these challenging times, it's really about perspective, because you can be in the worst situation in your life, quote unquote, and somebody can be in that same situation, but you have two different experiences because of your perspective on it. So for me, the first thing I have to do is pause and evaluate the situation. Okay, how did I get here? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be getting out of this situation? And work towards whatever that learning is in the moment that I'm in. So if I'm in a valley, there's a reason that I'm in that valley. So whatever it is that I'm supposed to learn and gain from the experience in this situation, that's what I get focused on. And when you're focusing on those positive things, however negative your situation is, I'm not going to say it won't impact you or you won't notice it, but it should lessen the effects of it. I've got a friend of mine that he works out, and oftentimes he'll be doing wall squats. And if you're not familiar with a wall squat, you lean up against the wall and you squat. And the longer you sit there, the more pain goes to your quads. And he said what he would do, he would start pinching his chest so he wouldn't focus on his quads. So what I choose to do, similar to that, I choose to focus on those positive things and those other things that are going to carry me through that situation. And I don't focus on the negativity of the situation.
And that's powerful, because we have the tendency as human being to go straight, to what we can't do. I mean, what's really looking at the positive side of things. And yet, when we pause, like you said, and we start to give it a certain perspective, we realize, come on, there's actually some positive in it. It might be just one or two, but if we start to focus on it, then it makes a difference, to us. And that's sometimes the difficulty in all the situation and all the challenges that we are going through. And it can actually have a physical effect as well, because you work in wellness, you probably know that. And it's really difficult. So just to continue in this, in this, talking about challenges and obstacles. You went from being working for corporate, and now you are a full-time entrepreneur. So what are the key challenges, and that you are going through, and what are the key ones that you had to address through your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. So honestly, one of the biggest challenges that I face is not trying to do everything and be everything to everybody. I'm a lover of life. I'm a lover of people. And naturally, I'm a giver and I want to save the world. I want to fix everybody's problems. And sometimes, a lot of times, I have to pick my battles. And it means eliminating some things and not being able to solve everybody's problems in attempt to be able to do something on a larger scale. So it's eliminating the minutia, for lack of a better term, and focusing on the most important things that's going to give the largest amount of return. Being a new business, a lot of people may think gaining customers and doing all those different things is one of the biggest challenge, not having the amount of customers that you want to have. But for me, it's not. I'm a believer in my business, and I know 100% beyond a shadow of doubt that the customers are going to come. What I have to do is make sure I am in the best position to serve those customers when they do come. And it's a matter of picking and choosing my battles and being able to be most effective for the group once the group shows up.
Picking, the battles, and that's hard, when we start. I mean, I remember when I started into entrepreneurship, especially when you think that you have the knowledge. You think, okay, I had the knowledge, I had the experience, I've worked in corporate, maybe I was a manager and everything. So you think that it's going to be as easy as that because you have this corporate experience. And then you come into it and you just realize that's actually completely different, because the challenges are different. And you really have to get organized and know what you really want to deliver, because and what problem you want to solve. Because at the end of the day, what I find out is that we go into entrepreneurship because we're passionate about something, but we forget that it's not about us and our passion. It's about people, that we the solution that we bring to people. And we tend to forget that, and start to go all over the place and not really identifying the right focus, and being completely lost. Like you said, we need to have this analysis and then pick our battle, because otherwise we run all over the place and we actually run out of energy. So let's have a small break, and then we'll come back and continue our conversation.
So we try to focus on gaps in the industry. We have a 5,000 milligram terpene-based tincture, and a lot of companies, they don't go up to that high of a concentration, and a lot of companies aren't focusing on those additional terpenes that give you those added benefits. We have higher milligram concentrations, and we focus on terpenes in those higher milligram concentrations. Tavarus Hogans, head of sales and head of marketing for True 7. So we're a full service CBD line. We've got about 41 SKUs right now. We've got your typical oils, lotions, creams, balms, pre-roll, flour, all of those things. But in addition to that, we have a cosmetic line. Our overall company is www.true-7.com. Our CBD line is www.true7cbd.com. That's www.true7cbd.com.
So what is True 7?
True 7
looks trendy.
True 7 is a lot of things, which we just talked about, and we're finally getting some structure to True 7. But True 7 is the umbrella company to a couple of services that we provide, a couple of products that we provide, and a couple of podcasts that we're on also. So the two services, presentation skills coaching and podcast coaching, the two products, the CBD line and the book that we're releasing, and the two podcasts right now, the True 7 Life podcast and Beyond the Stars that I'm doing with another lady.
Okay, all right. So I mean, you know, to do all of this, because you obviously, touching, different aspect of leadership, I would say, in what you're doing. So how do you align this leadership? Uh, you know, what are the key thing, for you to be able to have, to lead this organization, and to also provide, the services, and make a difference in the life of the people that you serve.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. You said it earlier. Leadership is about people and the people that I serve. So number one, I have to be a servant. And then number two, I have to be an expert in the audience that I'm serving. Leadership is not about me. It has to be about the community and the individuals that I'm serving. What are their needs and how can I best serve and fulfill their needs? So the number one thing I have to do every morning is get out of the way and make them number one priority, and understand that if I'm serving, I believe if I'm serving and I'm taking care of someone else's needs, the way the world is designed, someone else is going to be out there looking out for me also. We get too consumed and concerned with selfish behavior and thinking me first. And then that type of behavior, no one wants to help that type of person out. But if you're out there serving and you're taking care of somebody else, just inevitably, involuntarily, your needs are going to be taken care of. So I have to first make myself number two and make sure I'm listening to and hearing and understanding the needs of the communities that we're serving.
But I think I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna challenge you on that, because you said you're gonna make first yourself number two. But I mean, a lot of time we realize that self-care is actually quite important.
Mhm.
So why are we not, putting ourselves first, and then it's gonna allow us to serve over after? Do you really have to put yourself second?
So I think it's an individualistic approach.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I am aware and conscious of when I need to shift some things. I believe when I need to shift some things and take care of me. I have a good regimen and a good routine of getting enough sleep, and I have healthy behaviors and practices that sustain my health and what's necessary for me to serve the people. So when I don't have that in place, then it needs to be a priority. But I feel like I've
Mm-hmm.
taken care of that, so I can now focus on them. So I think the challenge in the conversation we may be having is more semantics, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a chicken and the egg conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, if you're not your best, you don't have anything that you can offer someone. So yeah, you do have to take care of yourself first so you can serve and you can provide. But once you get to that position, some of us don't shift that focus. We still
Mm-hmm.
have ulterior motives and different things like that. Now, I have no concern at all about Tavarus Hogans. I am 100% confident that my needs will be taken care of to the level that they need to be taken care of. There is
Mm-hmm.
there is nothing in this world that I will ever go out with, ever go without. And it's not because of anything that I've done,
Mm-hmm.
but in living my life, I've seen that all of my needs have been taken care of. So I'm not going to waste time worrying about that, because that's wasted energy. I'm going to help
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. I'm going to educate somebody else. I'm going to empower somebody else. I'm going to impact somebody else. That's going to be my focus.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think, do you have any, I mean, did you have to have support from other people, like mentors or coaches? Or where did you gain your strength, to go forward and really make it, and then get the energy to serve others, because that can be very difficult to sustain.
Yeah, there's a poem called Footprints in the Sand. If you've never heard it, or if you've never read it, you guys need to go out and read it. Footprints in the Sand. That's
Mhm,
where my support, my help, my strength comes from.
mhm,
I'm also fortunate that I have a great peer group, and we've grown and matured together. I have a competitive peer group, and not competitive from the sense of they're trying to one up me or I'm trying to one up them, but competitive in the sense of we're both in the trenches, we're both trying to push boundaries, and we're all trying to get better and just move the level of success higher and higher. So the group coming behind us will have more aspirational goals. They'll have bigger dreams. They'll have bigger realities that they can search for. When it comes to leadership, I've been fortunate to learn from bad leaders, and conversely, I've had some great leaders in my life. And probably the most impactful leader that I've had, he's on my Mount Rushmore. I'm gonna call his name Hugh Burkett. Uh, I reported to him, and he was a leader that actually served me. And he was the first person that I reported to that I felt he did not have a care in the world about himself. All he was concerned about was his team, making his team better, supporting his team, and doing everything he could to make his team successful without a care in the world for himself. And he just had a major impact on me. And it's one of the leadership tools, traits, qualities. He's a person that I emulate when it comes to leadership, because he's selfish and he's selfless in his leadership style.
That's a good one. And just wanted to follow on that is just to, what do you think is, what are the attribute of a good leader? Because you obviously have had this mentor. So for you, what are the key one that you think a leader should have to be able to, to really be called a leader? Because nowadays we call people leader without really, paying attention. We tend to we confuse between power and leadership, and just wanted to, to hear from you, what do you think are the the attribute of a good leader?
Yeah, so there are a couple, there's
Mhm.
trust in there that people will say is very important. We talked a little bit about this willingness to take care of your people and put your people first. I think that's very important. But if I had to pick one, I really believe it's emotional intelligence, and knowing yourself and understanding you will help you be the best leader that you can be. We have a lot of leaders that don't understand their drivers, their motivations. They don't understand why they react in certain ways. And they're just inconsistent with their thinking and their thought processes because they don't know themselves. So, emotional intelligence and self awareness, I believe, is the most important thing when it comes to leadership. And when you have that self awareness, then you can develop that trust, you can develop loyalty, you can be selfless, and you can have empathy, and you can put your subordinates first and do different things and bring in other qualities that enhance your leadership and make you an amazing, impactful, immaculate leader.
So that's powerful, isn't it? And it's worth reminding us, that it starts with us. It's always start with us. We have to understand who we are before we can, say that we're going to lead somebody else or we're going to lead other people. And sometimes we do it the other way around. We don't actually know who we are, and we want to become leaders.
Yeah.
And hence the challenge, and hence the state of the world where we are right now. And it becomes very, very difficult, and we don't bring anything, positive on the table, and it affects everybody in a very negative way. So that's the key challenge. But how do you think your career in, in as a sport person, as an athlete, because in sport, it's a lot about competition. I know you were playing, a team sport, but it's also about competition, who is the best, and really, focusing on you becoming the best, and sometime trying to outshine others. So how did you manage this transition from, being really a top athlete and then moving to the corporate world, where you have to serve more than taking up, and and trying to be strong and the best?
Yeah, so there's growth and wisdom in that. And when I was playing sports, I don't know, I was a pretty good teammate on
Mm-hmm,
the outside. And there are a lot of people that would say he is very unselfish, et cetera, et cetera. I've always loved people. So I always had that innate ability to draw people and take care of them. But behind the scenes, I had my own agenda that I was trying to accomplish also. And you talk about competing in sports and trying to outdo people. This may not be me taking responsibility, but as an athlete, I'm going to put some onus on the coaches. I felt like I played for some coaches that didn't teach us the right way to compete.
mm-hmm,
And we were competing in a manner to your point, outdo the other person, opposed to making them better.
mm-hmm,
And I wasn't the best teammate. Fortunately, I had the opportunity to coach sports multiple years, but I coached football specifically for about 5 years. And one of the biggest principles we would teach is being a good teammate. And we can compete and not necessarily try to outshine somebody or show somebody up. We want to be the best we can be, period. I don't want to be better than somebody or worse than anybody. I want to be the best that I can be. And I want to help my teammate be the best that they can be. So when we're competing, we should compete to make each other better. Because if I'm competing against you and I'm making you better, when you get better, you're going to make me better. So it's a reciprocal relationship. We're not competing for the mere fact of me winning every day. And then I may be competing against somebody that may not be mentally tough. So if they continue to lose, at some point, if they're not mentally tough enough, they're not going to continue to compete with me and make me better. So one fundamental thing that I was missing in my younger years when we talk about competition, I wasn't competing in the right way. I wasn't a good teammate when it came to competing. But now that I've gotten older and a little bit more mature and a lot wiser, I love competing, but I love competing for the sheer fact that we are going to make everybody better. And I got a little bit away from your question, but
No, I think it's that's what I really wanted to understand is, how do you go from this state where you compete against others, and now more serving them, but at the same time, stepping into your greatness as well, becoming your best, and with them. And I think that's, I don't think you went off, because it's hard, it's hard to go from, and it started at school, actually, when you are at school. There's, grades and things like that, categories and stuff. So they start to, label you, because you have a certain grade. So then you start to compete against each other, and not compete for the best of everybody. So and we actually learn that through the process. And now you have, who you are, and you know exactly, what you're looking for, and you're not afraid of another person, evolving as well, because I think that's what's happening when we start to compete against each other. There's fear involved, and we really, afraid of the person having more than us, or being more than us, or and it's really a mindset problem that we create here.
Yeah, and I'm in a space now
Mm-hmm.
where what is for me is for me. Nobody else
Mm-hmm.
can get my gift, and conversely, I can't get anybody else's gift either. So whoever I'm competing against, if it is destined for them to be number one, they're going to be number one. It doesn't matter my feelings, my emotions, how hard I compete. That's for them. Now, listen, that's not going to stop me from trying to be number one. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm still going to compete and do my best and put my best foot forward. But what's for me is for me, and what's for somebody else is for somebody else. So there's no jealousy, there's no envy, there's no hatred. I want everybody to be great. It's the Greatness Engineering Hour show, and let's just go be great.
Exactly. And we just realize that at the end of the day we have to compete against ourselves, and then be better than what we were yesterday, and have a focus on our purpose, and really, like you said, I want to be number one, but it's not at the expense of somebody else. It's really me wanted to become the best me, and really step into my greatness and go to the next level of my greatness and step out of my comfort zone to be able to go as far as I can. And that's an important thing to understand. So I think there are a few comments that I could see here. There's Eva is watching from Pretoria, South Africa. She agrees that leadership is about serving. So we are servant. You are a great leader leading by example. And then she has another one. Agreed, self-awareness is utmost important. Know who you are to find your purpose. You cannot serve from an empty cup. I like it. You cannot serve from an empty cup. You have to fill yourself. And I think that's what I was alluding at the beginning, is that self-care, and then you can, better serve people, and not really, drain yourself and start to get into all those negative emotions. So we gotta have another break. And for anybody joining today, our host is Tavarus Hogans. Tavarus is talking to us from Florida. And we've been having, a very interesting conversation about leadership, empowerment, and impact, and very interesting. So we got to continue our conversation after this break. And hopefully, if you have a question or if you have any comment, just use the comment box, and then we'll if we can, we'll address it. So we're back with Tavarus, and we're having an awesome conversation about leadership, empowerment, impact, and just wanted to continue in the same trend, because with leadership comes risk, comes decision making. So how have you ever have you ever had a very difficult decision to make? And how did you what's the process that you went through?
Whew. most recently, I had a very difficult decision in leaving corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you spend time with something, whatever it is, if you have a teddy bear for 10 years and all of a sudden you lose your teddy bear, there's going to be something, there's going to be a certain way you feel about that. And having been with this company almost 9 years, there's a certain relationship that you develop. And when it was time for me to go, leading up to it, I knew it was time. I knew I was going to have to leave. And it wasn't that, it didn't seem to be that big of a deal. But when it came literally the time for me to actually have the conversation, there were like challenges and hurdles and obstacles. Like the person I was supposed to meet with, I couldn't get in touch with them. The time was changing, stuff like that, like just delaying the decision and forcing me to sit with it longer. And what I realized, it just took way more courage than I actually showed up with that day. So my courage was literally growing and developing as I was going through this process. And had it not been for my faith in God, there's no telling what would have happened. I probably would have freaked out, blacked out, or, cowered and walked away.
Mm-hmm.
But it just took an amazing amount of courage. And we throw these buzzwords out: courage, discipline, self-starter, self-motivated, all of that. And a lot of it sounds good until you need it. And that was a very difficult time, but oftentimes our greatness and our success is on the other side of some difficulty. So the mountain is on the other side of the valley, and you don't appreciate that mountain until you go through that valley. And just being courageous, and what courage is facing something in the presence of fear. So it's not just a matter of something you have to do. It's doing this in the face of fear and just overcoming, the adversity, the stress, the anxiety, everything that's rising up. Having gone through that just took me to another level of confidence and another level of being. And it was extremely difficult, but I just had to continue to press on and persevere. And, like we were talking earlier, there's a song that I wanted to mention, and it goes, I'm so glad that trouble don't last always. And, the feeling that you have going into the conversation, and even when you're in the conversation, eventually it's going to pass. Sometimes we just have to put ourselves out there and persevere through it. And it's not easy.
No,
don't think it's going to be easy, but success and greatness is, if it was easy, everybody would be enjoying it. Understand it's going to be hard. Know that it's going to be hard. Accept that it's going to be hard, and just face it head on as best you can.
So face it head on, and that's what we don't want to do. We know that it's not gonna last, but we just don't want to go through this valley, and we're so scared. And that's when, and I like you talking about your faith, and you need to believe in something. You need to have faith, because otherwise you don't put yourself out there. You stay in your comfort, and you die there, if I can say, if I may say that, So you need this faith and say, okay, everything is going to be okay. I know that there's something bigger than me who's guiding me. And, it's not going to be easy, but I know that I'm going to go through it. And at the end, there's going to be the light. And that's important to say. Go ahead.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to add, because a lot of times we don't tell the full story. In these situations, it may not be pretty. So don't think that when we face adversity and people that have overcome it, they go into the situation or they go into the conversation and they say all the right things. They have it all together. They have it all buttoned up. A lot of times it's ugly. A lot of times we struggle. A lot of times it can be emotional. You stutter, you forget to say stuff, you skip over stuff. Struggle through it. The bottom line is to get through it. 9 times out of 10, most people, they're not going through it pretty. There's no pretty way through an ugly forest. There's no pretty way through the mud. It's not going to be pretty, but you can get through it. And the bottom line is get through it.
And it's really focusing on the end result. Like, you know, you mentioned it at the beginning, is that, you know, don't, you know, go through it, but focus on the end result. Even if it's not pretty, keep going. And you know, and I know there's a saying, I don't know if it's in England, that if you go through hell, keep going, don't stop. So
I hadn't heard that one, but I like it.
Yeah. So if you go through hell, keep going, don't stop. You know,
right.
you'll get through, but please don't stop.
Right.
And that's the key one. So let's have another break, and then we'll come back and with some other question, this time focusing on success.
We become what we think about. Focus on what you want rather than focusing on what you don't want. So who do you want to be? You know, why are you here on this planet? If you live according to the principles of love, compassion, you know, appreciative joy, you know, celebrating other people's successes, but how do you overcome hatred and confusion and just having a good heart? Then I think that's what happened to me. Then I start to get clear about what I like to do and how I could be of service. How can I help other people? That we were wired for success, but it's how we relate to our experience that determines whether we're chipping away or we're, you know, kind of burying that sense of wholeness that we're born with. It's just that we forget it. We don't look inside, we're looking outside. And so unless we're still and we think about it and we understand that I was born with this masterpiece, no one can give it to me or take it away. It's an inside job. And so if I look at what's right, it makes a lot of sense. So it's whether you're coming from a place of scarcity, or I would say survival mode, or coming from growth mode, which has to do with yes, I can, yes to life, and I have the capacity and the responsibility to make it different or to make it better. Having that faith, that vulnerability to just see things that are hard to see. You gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable. So can you handle the truth? It's a question, and if you can't, then if you see that, then you can say, well, if I'm going to change, I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with that discomfort until the point that I can see what I need to see, then I can change it. So it's the persistence of continuing to do something until you can do it is most of the work. Is just continuing to make mistakes, learn from mistakes, but the mistakes are viewed as feedback, not as I'm a failure. It's just an event, not who we are. So that error correction is really important. And when you can see, when you attribute it to something you can learn or change, now you got faith and confidence to do it, versus if you're seeing it like, oh, I'm just not strong enough, I'm not tall enough and all of that. That's what I call the negative community telling you can't do anything, rather than saying, well, let me see what I can do. So it's like a child learning how to walk, right? Same thing.
Your life can change. Your life can be more than just a place. It can be your future, your success. This change takes courage. It takes courage to stand up and break down the aspects of your life that you know is holding you back. Let your progress be idolized. Let it speak for itself.
So very powerful. So we are back with Tavarus, and we're going to continue our conversation talking about success. And I want to know, Tavarus, what really contributed to your success, and what is key to success to you when you look at your journey and things that you've gone through? What is really key, to get to this level of success?
Yeah, it's interesting. There are a couple things, and I don't want to shortchange it and cop out and say my faith, but that's exactly what it is. It's not a sexy answer. It's not me getting up at 3:30 every morning. It's not me outrunning the competition. It's not me reading a ton of books. I do that. I don't get up at 3:30 every morning. I get up around 6 or 6:30. But it's not those tangible things that a lot of people gravitate to. It is really God who has sustained me and who has given me the formula, my formula for success. There's nothing else. I'm on a quest to learn more about myself, but the more I learn about Jesus Christ, the more I learn about me. Imago Dei, we were made in his image. So the more I can learn about the person whose image I was made in, the more I can learn about me. The more I get in that book, which is a mirror of my life, the more I can learn about me. So in layman's terms, we can call it self-evaluating. Some people don't want to know about the scars they have and all of that, but some people call it self-evaluating. And for me, it's that self-evaluation and trying to figure out what I was designed to be, who I was designed to be, and living within my purpose. And we just saw the commercial and the gentleman said, we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I agree with that to a certain degree, but me personally, I'm a weakling. I don't like discomfort. I understand the value in it. We're not going to grow if we're not uncomfortable, but I'm trying to get to my sweet spot. And I know if I'm living in my purpose, I'm in my sweet spot and there is comfort there. And again, it's perspective. It may be uncomfortable to the naked eye, and I understand what he's saying by discomfort, but if I'm in an uncomfortable situation, but that's where I'm supposed to be, I am going to find comfort there. So my faith in God has 100% unequivocally led to my success in life.
Fantastic, very powerful, and it's key. It's key, and you, like you said, he actually create everything for us. So when we have faith, we are led, and we don't have to worry. I mean, obviously, we're gonna get uncomfortable. We're gonna have a lot of challenges, and people are not gonna like us or whatever, but still is leading us, and we have to we have to go with our faith and be strong in it, and go through the desert before we can actually get to the water and start to really feel good. And that's very difficult. So I mean, looking at all of this, you've gone through different experiences, and you've talked a lot about your purpose. What is the impact? I mean, looking at what you've done already, what is the impact that you want to have in the world, keep having the world, or a new thing that you want to do, and what legacy are you working on right now?
Love is my most favorite word in the entire English language. And I want to leave an impact and a legacy of love. There are a couple other terms that I like to throw out: attitude and effort. I love those words because there are two things that you can control. You 100% control your attitude and you control your effort. There are 2 and 3, but number 1 is love. I want to educate, I want to empower, I want to impact and all of that. But I believe I can do it through this one word, love. And I feel like love is the answer for everything, not just anything, but everything, every single thing under the sun. If we took it and we approached it from the lens of having a loving heart, loving the other person across from the table, I think our conversations would be different. So if there's any legacy that I want to leave, it's not that I cared. I care. If you show love, you're going to show that you care. I'm not so concerned about those other words. Those words are byproducts, in my opinion, of the word love. And I just want anybody that I've come into contact with, they may not understand my approach. They may say he has an unorthodox way, but at the end of the day, that guy truly loved me. So if there's anything I want to leave, it's love. And I want to impress upon and affect other people to the degree that they share more, spread more, and experience more love. But it's about love at the end of the day. And the end of the day with me, the beginning, the middle, and the end is about love.
Fantastic, beautiful. And and you have a lot of work to do because when we see what's going on right now, we're far from love. So there's a lot of education to do. There's a lot of work to do, and at a lot of level. At a lot of level, because not everybody understand that love is the answer. Because it's actually free, but people don't want to have this free thing working for them, which is funny actually. They prefer to go to and use complex thing, negativity, violence, and everything. Yet love is there and don't actually require them to do a lot of effort. And it's amazing what's going on. So beautiful legacy. You and I like the fact that you're saying it's love at every single level. There's no other words, and that's beautiful. So I mean, just to for our listener and people who want to continue this conversation with you, how they can contact you and where they can continue this conversation with you. Can you let us know where, I mean, how they can do that?
So I know we got a lot of guests and listeners in South Africa and Australia. First off, send for me. I want to come see you guys and spend time in your workshop.
We're waiting for you.
Yeah, and mastermind and all that. So if there are any conferences where you need a speaker, I'm raising my hand. I'm asking to be there. I want to experience those cultures, and I want to impact and just have I'm not really concerned about a global reach, but more so want to be where I'm called to be. But I do want to go experience those cultures. So send for me, number one. But I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me at True 7 CBD on both of those platforms, and at True 7 Life on both of those platforms as well. The health and wellness CBD line is www.true7cbd.com. That's www.true7cbd.com. And you can find all of the other information on there. As you see, there's the LinkedIn, the Facebook, the Twitter, Instagram. It's either True 7 CBD or True 7 Life. And that's where you can find me.
Fantastic. And I think you already have an invitation because I saw, okay, so that's Eva. Eva is based in South Africa. So she said, okay, come to South Africa. So you have to prepare and, start to, when everything is opening again, so prepare something. And Eva, she's a fantastic lady as well. She has a fantastic story and she's a big believer as well. And, you can't get wrong with her. So that's and if you want to come to Australia, I'm here, no problem. We can make it happen. I have events that I organize, and it's it's really going really well here. It's just a bit expensive when you compare to the US, but that's the price. That's the price to pay, I guess. Yeah, so. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I'm serious. I mean, we had a trip, my wife and I planned for South Africa this year. I know Pretoria is right, close to Joburg. We're gonna fly into Joburg and then go down to Cape Town and do the safaris and all of that. I literally told her yesterday that I was going to be on this show, and I said, listen, we are going to do an event in South Africa and in Australia as a result of this show. So I called it, let's make it come to pass.
It's going to happen, definitely. When everything open, we'll start to work on it. and there's no problem about it. So I mean, we actually getting, at the end of the show. There's just just going to show a video to people, for those who want to get in contact with me, and be on the show. You can always contact me. There's my email here. If you want to have an idea of the different shows, you can go on my website. And my favorite platform is LinkedIn and Facebook, so you can't miss me there. I'm also on Twitter, so if you want to get in contact with me, that's all the information are here. And next Friday, I'm bringing one of my friend. She's also sport person. She's an engineer like me. We've worked together, and she's been my coach, trying to help me to lose weight. And she'll be on the show on Friday. And she's an amazing lady. She started to to get into sport after her first child, and she gained so much weight. She started very step by step, by changing herself, changing her habits, and now she has run marathons almost everywhere. So it's got to be a good story again, and I'm really looking forward to have her on the show. Her name is Maria Rondon. Maria is originally from Venezuela, and she migrated to Australia, and she's doing some fantastic things here. So we're gonna have Maria next on Friday to come and have a conversation with us. So that's all for today. I hope that you've learned a lot from Tavarus, and as you see, a very he brought love to our show, and he really like life and empowering people and uplifting people, and his legacy is to really have people understand that love is everything. Whatever challenge you have, please think about what he said. Love is everything. Love yourself first, and then love others as well, and make sure that you bring this love wherever you are, and you use it when you are challenged. So before we leave, Tavarus, I just want to ask you, what is the last word that you want to leave the audience with?
First off, thank you for inviting me on the show. It has been amazing. You have a great show, great questions, highly engaging, and I hope you have me again, because this has just been truly amazing. What I would leave the listeners with is, listen, I won't necessarily say we're in some challenging times, because the times aren't different. There's just more exposure to a lot of what's been going on. Mm-hmm. I think the most important thing is, whatever impact we have, it starts with us. As leaders, oftentimes we want to impact other people and get other people to change. But throughout all of this, every single person has a role and a responsibility to themselves first. So take this opportunity to self-evaluate and understand what your position is, what your stance is, and live that out. Don't live out somebody else's purpose. Don't live out something that someone else is telling you should do. Evaluate where you should be in life, when you should be there, understand what you stand for, and stand for it.
Powerful. And that's what this show is all about. It's about understanding that it all starts with us. We have this we have this power, we have this greatness, we have everything inside of us. When we understand that, we can actually have such an impact outside. It's just an impact in the world, and we have to understand that is that it starts with us. We have to know who we are. We have to know our purpose. We have to know where we want to be, and how we relate. We understand how we relate to people, so that we can lead people. We can lead ourselves, and really have the impact that that's actually going to help us all to go to the same direction, and bring back, all this humanity that we're looking for, and this collective consciousness of understanding that, we are all, in a way connected, and whatever we do, we actually impact somebody else, and it's a ripple effect. So it starts with us to bring the right things on the table so that they can be multiplied and have a great impact in the world. So it's been a fantastic discussion, and I've loved it. And thanks, Tavarus, for your wisdom and your love that you brought to our show. And like you said, I mean, we're gonna stay connected, and hopefully you can come to Australia, go to South Africa, and visit other countries, because it's always beautiful to know about other cultures, and because we learn so much about ourselves when we're exposed to other cultures, and it's part of our development, it's part of our growth. So thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who've been able to listen, and for those who actually gonna watch the replay, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Tavarus. His share is where you can contact him, and let's continue this discussion and spread love, because that's the answer to everything. So thank you very much, and see you soon. So see you on Friday when we have Maria with us.
Love
Take
you guys.
care, and God bless you. Bye.